Alright, so today should be pretty straightforward. I'm just going to try to clean off the surfaces that we're going to have to be mounting stuff to. Probably clean off all the crap that's down there from, I don't know, like oil leaking or something. And then, hopefully put stuff back together, at least some of it. When you guys see me putting this back on, either today or another day, whenever it happens, you're going to notice that gets put on incorrectly. It's intentional. So I'm not going to put the thermostat in. I'm not going to put a gasket on, and I'm not going to put thread sealant on the bolts for this thing. Everything else will get that, but that thing, it's not gonna be done completely, just because I am going to be flushing the engine once the steering column's in and I can turn the Jeep on, just so I can get everything out. One of my buddies is actually saying, which is a good point, that the reason it's so nasty in there is probably just because it was just water that was in there. Whoever filled it last just didn't put any coolant in it at all. It was just all water. Whether it was distilled water, whether it was tap water, who knows, but that's probably why it's super just kind of corroded and gross. It's just water was sitting in there for who knows how long, just kind of eating away at stuff. So I'm gonna flush that as much as I can. Like I've got the special stuff that I'll show you when I do the flush. It's supposed to eat away at deterioration and scale and rust and stuff like that. But it's all going to work so well. I'll probably flush it a couple times until it doesn't look terrible. Hopefully it doesn't ruin the new system, because I didn't want to put it through the old system, because I figured the rest of the old system looked like that too, and it would just add more grossness into the engine, and then that would just in turn get into the rest of the system. So it's kind of like a 6 of one, half dozen of another, I guess, which now this could go into the new system, but yeah, it is what it is. So once I do get it so I can turn it on, I'm going to flush this with a hose. Probably just open up the one of the hoses that goes in there, spray some water from the hose in, open up the drain plug from the engine block, and then just try to spray everything out that I can. Today I'm going to try to scrape out as much of it as I can in there and just vacuum it out. I'm also waiting for new bearings to come. I was initially going to leave them be. One of my buddies noticed that this one sounds kind of weird compared to I probably shouldn't do that too much, actually. I mean, it probably doesn't matter. I don't know. I'm not a professional. But yeah, so this sounds a little bit wonky. It probably shouldn't be sounding like that. And if I'm going to replace that one, might as well just replace this one. So I got both of these coming in the mail. I think they should be here either tomorrow or the day after. So yeah, that's the plan for today. Just try to get stuff cleaned up, get new stuff in, as much as I can. Got a new belt for it too. When CarQuest went out of business, I was able to actually pick up a belt for this Jeep for like 80 cents. So yeah, throw that in there too. Yeah, I think that's that. Oh, this isn't going to be something that's done today, but this is also broken pretty good. I don't know, maybe somebody leaned on it and just kind of snapped it off. So I'll eventually be using a plastic welder once that arrives, and be fixing that up too. Quick clarification, the reason I'm not going to put the gasket and stuff on that is because I'm supposed to run it without the thermostat, and since I have to take it off to remove, or to put the thermostat back in, I just didn't want to mess with the gasket and the threads and stuff. Plus, the old thermostat, we actually found another piece. One of my buddies is over here looking at it, inside there, so I'm hoping that there's nothing else just floating around in there. That's going to be annoying if there is. Yeah, so I kinda got tired of doing that by hand, so now here we are. Is it necessary? No, not really. But I want to do it just because I'm here, I have access to it, and I probably won't be here having access to it again. So might as well just take care of it right while I can. So I didn't record that because I didn't feel like it, but the end result wasn't really great. Not super happy with how that turned out, but you know, I'm trying to cut through oil with water, so doesn't really work super great. But I think it's done well enough to say that it's like done for tomorrow, you know. So that silver piece is going to be done. So tomorrow I can just work on just getting both of those straightened out. And honestly, the one that the water pump goes on looked fine. It felt fine when I was rubbing my fingers over it. This one is a little bit janky, even still, but like I've scratched it so much that I feel like I'm just gonna like mess up the actual metal itself, which I kind of already have. Like, where are we? Yeah, like right there. That was me. No one to blame on that one besides myself, but like I can still feel like raised edges and stuff here. But like, you know, I don't want to do more of that to it in my attempts to like get down these. So I don't really know how much more I should keep going with that. It's not perfect. I mean, it's not terrible. It's probably fine, but I don't know. But anyway, it's a problem for tomorrow. Alright, so I think these surfaces should be good to go for install of new parts. This one still isn't completely flat, but I think it's flat enough. I'm assuming the last time something was put on here, there wasn't like gasket, but there was like gasket maker that was put there, and now it's just kind of like become one with the surface. You guys saw me, I tried using a plastic scraper. Plastic scraper did nothing, so I switched to a razor blade. Razor blade marred it a little bit, which, you know, wasn't super stoked about. Didn't want to keep doing that, so I used a scouring pad. You know, scouring pad, I guess, cleaned it up a little, but there's like still, you know, stuff like that, which I just can't get off. And I'm kind of at the point where I feel like continuing to try to get off might just do damage, so I'm just going to leave it. I think it's probably fine. This piece down here, that was actually pretty good. The only issue was just the oil. That was like right next to where it's supposed to seal, which I was a little worried about getting in there, but it's like pretty good now. Like you can see my finger, wipe it down here, you know, like not much, you know, significantly better than it was, so I'll take that as being acceptable. Inside I cleaned out best I could. It'll be interesting to see what it looks like after everything gets hit with the remover stuff, like that special solution. Yeah, so let's start getting things put back on here. And also, just as kind of like a little aside, when I was pressure washing yesterday, I didn't realize until I was in the shower that night, I probably shouldn't have done that because I still have the oil thing. I'm trying to look for it right now. I still have our, gosh, where is it? I still have the oil pressure nodule thing that's supposed to connect to the mechanical oil pressure still open. So, you know, I like to show my mess ups as well as the things I do well, just so people can learn from my mistakes too. If you're going to be working on multiple parts of a project at the same time, make sure you're considering all factors and remembering what your sensitive areas are when you do work somewhere else. Because I was pressure washing, you know, like right here and over here, and then, you know, obviously there, and then just right over here. I've got something that really shouldn't get wet because it's an opening to the engine where oil travels. To be fair, I don't think it did, but you know, just don't do stuff like that. So next step is just taking these bolts and just cleaning off the old thread sealer and just putting on some new stuff, or I guess getting them set into the new water pump with the gasket and then getting them cleaned off. These two bolts on the side, I'm pretty sure those are what go into our tensioner housing there. Those don't have any thread sealant and they wouldn't need it, so those are gonna stay bare. So I am hitting it with a quick soak with mineral spirits first, just to get all the real heavy built up stuff off before wiping it down with one of the scouring pads, and then go into the tap and die set. While I let our last bolt for the water pump sit, I'm going to work on getting this little piece, that nice little pipe doohickey, affixed, as well as getting our studs transferred over to our new setup. And it already looks like there's a little bit of thread locker on our, whatever this is. But I'm going to put a little bit more of the high temperature sealant stuff just in case. It's a slightly different application just to really make sure we don't have any issues. Alright, so that's in. Sorry, I'm not gonna lie, I got a little nervous there, so I just installed the whole water pump because I was trying to get that in its right orientation, and I couldn't do it by hand. It wasn't possible. Starting to panic a little bit, so crap, let me just install this. Once it's installed, let me see if I can try to tighten it, and that worked. So I installed that off camera just really quickly, super rushed, and then tried to turn the camera on to get the last bit of that, but the battery did die on the camera, which is why it was the abrupt cutout. But man, so glad to have the first new part of the cooling system. And just look at that, it looks white against a black and gray and brown background, but I swear it's silver. Man, so glad that that's in. I was a little nervous, and I got it torqued down. I think it was 22 foot-pounds for the bolts. Not like anyone's watching this for a tutorial, but yeah. Now I'm just gonna clean up all the tools that are just kind of sitting everywhere, and call that a day. Tomorrow should be a little easier because it's just like the 2 bolts for. I think that's actually called a thermostat housing, or a. There's another word for it, like water sender, or I don't know, water outflow. It's a coolant housing now. That's one of the words. And so the 2 bolts for the coolant housing, I like that. Ooh, yeah, the 2 bolts for the cooling housing, that'll be done tomorrow. Probably it should be easy now that I have a method down. I know I can just bust it out, and then that should be in. Like I said, though, I'm not going to put any thread locker on that, or like any of the goop to keep the coolant from getting out on that, or the gasket, because that's going to have to be removed later. One, I want to check the progress once we use that special magic stuff my buddy told me about, but also want to be able to just flush that as well. I don't know if I'm gonna remove that and put water in there yet, or if I'm just gonna like remove one of the hoses and put water in there. I don't know. That's still up in the air, but either way, I'll need to take it off again and put the thermostat in. So that's gonna be installed improperly on purpose, and it will get fixed eventually. So just bear with me there. But besides that, yeah, I think everything else should be pretty smooth sailing. Can knock on wood. But yeah, dude, I'm happy camper about that today.